I want to comment on a couple of clips of a podcast episode I watched earlier. One is about a commune, like commune, and the other one is weak ties related. This clip.
I think what I'm trying to say is that I've never heard a man say he wants to live in a commune, but I have heard every woman I know say that they want to live in a commune. So if we wanted it to be co-ed and bring our partners, that could be great, but I don't know if they want it the way that we want it.
But you know what? I actually think that they do. Every fucking dude I know I'm hard pressed to find a guy, I mean, or a woman, but a guy who's like not super lonely these days and really isolated, because it's like actually most people, but I hear it expressed by.
Yeah, it was interesting because in my notes I have put something like commune. I wanted to because of amount of hours, interstitial time, etc. And yeah, essentially that's all I want. That's what I wanted to say. Basically, it's this podcast. They are talking about how it's a podcast about random things, and she's like, yeah, I want to live in a commune or whatever. This is a topic that the girls talk about a lot or something like this. And she's like, well, the boys too. And I was like, yeah, I would. It's like I get the idea as well. I'm not as like spontaneous to be like, yeah, I would definitely do this, right? Like legit. I think they probably legit aren't, but like if I'm not something I would legit do, I just won't even like joke about it, at least in conversation or something. I don't know. That's my style of conversation. But yeah, I get the idea. I like it, and I think it would be beneficial as well. And yeah, on Twitter and all that, I talk about community and all these things, and like see a lot about community and agree with it. And essentially, yeah, she said the thing about how every boyfriend of his girlfriends or whatever is like lonely. Yeah, I relate obviously. Plus I don't even have a girlfriend to complain about loneliness about. So yeah. But I said here that because of amount of hours, and this is I think some kind of small detail that I would like to add to this part of the conversation or something, and it's that in my case, it's not that I'm mega lonely and that I don't see anyone. It's just that the amount of hours that I see the people I like to see is very limited. And like for very short bursts of time, very sparsely. Once a week, twice a week, maybe 3 times a week in vacation time like right now, for like 2-3 hours at most of which are kind of like semi-dead hours of like going to one place and leaving one other. And I also said interstitial time, because I think when you live in a commune or whatever, it's like the interstitial time becomes kind of like the cherished moments, like doing chores, doing all these things, but along someone else becomes elevated to having community time, having social time or something like this, versus when you're like doing them on your own, you're doing them alone, and then there's interstitial time to getting to the social event in which you are also alone and all these things, right? So when you're like living in the community or whatever, yeah, your interstitial time becomes social time as well, and it also becomes like some kind of quality social time because you're kind of bonding over this shared thing, something like this, right? Unlike, for example, going in the car to some place that's like 18 minutes away, where the first 3 minutes are like picking people up and the last 5 minutes are finding parking space, right? It's like those are very low quality moments of being with someone. They're not shared time doing stuff. Meanwhile, spending 3 hours cooking with someone, yeah, there is a lot of downtime as well, but it's the kind of paused type of downtime that leads to openness and these kind of things. I don't know, in my opinion, that's like how I see it. And then I have another clip that I want to play from this podcast.
Another thing that I realized, I went for drinks last night with kind of new friends from the gym. We've never hung out outside of the gym context together, but we've wanted to. We like definitely have fun together in the gym, so we decided to do this. And it was so fun to hang out with people who like are new to me in a social context. And I was thinking about why that is. And I think that there's something very freeing about hanging out with looser connections, because especially if you're like in a weird mental health spot and like maybe struggling in certain relationship, or even if you're not struggling in certain relationships, struggling in any part of your life, it's almost like when you're with your closest people, it's hard to escape that. Like they know what's going on with you intimately, and so you have to maybe talk about it. They'll maybe ask you how it's going with that thing that you've been struggling with, or maybe it's something that has to do with your friend group or dynamics that they're more intertwined in. And so it's
Yeah, you get it, right? So I wanted to say that, yeah, I relate to that, and also maybe not the part of being like so happy to hang out with new people. Maybe I'm not like that, but I related to the feeling in some kind of way. And yeah, I wanted to say something like, yeah, reminded me of this TikTok.
Holly and I were like, what can we do for fun on a Monday night? We're gonna go to a hotel and lie. We're just gonna go to a hotel and lie about who we are, our personalities, our entire background story. We're just gonna, we put on wigs. Holly's wearing a blonde number.
I'm gonna see if men speak to me differently being blonde.
It's gonna be fun. I mean, how else are you meant to entertain yourself, honestly? Like,
people grow up and they forget about playing dress up and imagination and childish games like that. But you can still do it as an adult. Like now the bar is our playground. The world is our playground. We can be anyone we want. If I tell myself I'm someone else, then who can tell me I'm not? Today I'm her.
And then the
Bars for
follow-up.
fun. Let's get into it. This was actually a while ago. We're going again tonight. This happens kind of a lot because one thing about me and my friends, we love a good bit and we commit. Basically, we go to the
Yes, essentially that's the part that I like. I appreciate the committing to the bit thing, right? It reminded me of this, right? Yeah, I quote retweeted this with LOL. I was initially going to quote retweet it with something like bad. Yeah, see, this is bad, right? Stuff like this made me wonder about the percent of people who don't care about honesty in relationships. I think this is bad, right? But then I quote retweeted that with this video because it was like related to that, but I added the lol thing because this is a different tone, right? Yeah, this has a little bit of this element of like, if you start a relationship with someone in this mode, it's like you're already starting in the lying to someone mode, right? Which I think is bad. But I get the vibe, right? I get that. I think what you're trying to do is something like this, right? Something like having this loose thing of like escaping your, like, not necessarily even escaping. Maybe she's just like having fun or something, but like having fun in a different way than what you do like regularly, right? It's like, yeah, kind of getting away from something you do often or that you find boring or something like this, or that you're already too used to, and like switching up a little bit the stuff, right? Going out, hanging out with someone new, these kind of things, right? Feeling normal again, right? She says that she finds it thrilling, right, to hang out with like looser connections, with like weak ties or something like this. And yeah, I related. I found it interesting. And then yeah, I added the weak ties part because there is this weak ties thing that is common, which is like weak tie theory is the proposition that acquaintances are likely to be more influential than close friends, right? And I think this is related. For example, the only job quotes that I've had was due to this, right? Was due to weak ties. We were on a team. I was on a student racing team, and yeah, I got into the student racing team not because of a weak tie, but because of a strong tie to my friend. But then that internship, I got it, I think partly because, yeah, I was part of this group, but also because, not sure if someone on the inside actively helped me out or something like that, but the dynamic was that I found out about these things because of people in that team with whom I was cool with and all that, and they were interesting people and that, but we weren't like close. But yeah, so these kind of weak ties. And yeah, I ended up not liking the thing, but I understand the power of weak ties from that, and it's not like I super regret the experience or anything like that, even though I end up not really liking it. But still, yeah. That was, I think I'm going to end this video